I can't see anything wrong with you. And the reason is because there isn't. I happen to know that every single person was born with something of value, so there couldn't possibly be anything wrong with you. But you may be feeling that way now for a lot of different reasons. One, you're evolving, so whenever you change, it's a little scary when you go into something that's new within you. It can be a little bit scary. That's why people sometimes choose to stay where they are, because that feels safer for some reason, because they don't want to go into that unknown. But now what's happening is that you're sitting in an unknown of the world, because we are changing, and that is what is happening. And I'll give you my take on it, because I want you to understand this. If my clients, anyone who might come to me for sessions, I want you to understand what my purpose is, what I'm doing. Or if you take my program, I want you to understand this, because it's all the same thing. I know that every single person is born with the ability to create this extraordinary life. But we come into the world with different restrictions, different families, different countries that we live, all kinds of different things. But we also are uniquely us, meaning we have a different DNA than anyone else on the planet. There's no one who has our exact DNA. And so you have to imagine that you're supposed to do something that is only you, that is unique to you. Now, I couldn't do that. I screwed up so many things and went through so much in my life because the thing that was coming up that I knew I wanted to do, I couldn't get there. I was afraid, and I just was not going to own it. And it was what helped me the most, but I'm not going to tell people. We also have this crazy kind of fear of what people might think of us. What if we decide to become who we're meant to be? They may leave us, or they may hate us, or they may think we're nuts, whatever it might be. That's what we go through. And you're on an individual journey. When I work with a client, I can see where you are. I can see what your probable reality might be. And I say that because we don't always fulfill it, because we can feel that there's something we're meant to do, but we won't go there. And I did that for a long time. I tried to go everywhere else. I tried to do all the other things except what I knew that I was put on the earth to do. I was always this person who was helping and really giving advice to people all the time. But it seemed, where does that come from? How did I know that? We all have something within us that is being awakened now. The entire world is changing. If you haven't noticed, we've had all the weather events, we've had pandemics, we have all kinds of other viruses, we have all kinds of things happening all at once, and people are wondering what's happening to the planet. And I know we're changing. That's all. And we do that when we decide to become who we're meant to be. My story is a little different, as you might know, but I received all this information. I want you to understand this, because when I coach, I am coaching from this place that's intuitive. I've done it for more than 30 years. And everything I've created has been from that place as well. If you heard my video on ADHD, it would make sense to you, because I didn't even know that until I was 70. So I lived a life where I really had to figure things out. But now that I can see it all very clearly, and all of my ancient wisdom that has been there comes through, because we all have wisdom. We all have that. I'm not the only person. We can kind of remember. And I know that what is happening now is that the world is changing, because we're trying to create something better. And then we have new science. We can talk about quantum mechanics and physics and all of that, and you can understand how we create the world. We create the world energetically, each person. And so if each person is adding something to this mix that is positive, that's uplifting, that's light, we're going to have a better chance of creating a great world. But I was told, and I knew this was coming. This is why I started pulling things together. This is why my program was there, because each person needs to work through all of their garbage. That's what I had to do. I had to work through, why am I insecure? Why don't I trust myself? Why am I not confident? Why am I afraid of everything? Why can't I find where I'm supposed to be? I answered all of those questions. And I answered those questions through the work that I received, that I channeled. That's what happened. As a coach, it seems crazy to people that I have done that, but that's exactly who I am. And it allows me to I developed this incredible intuitive ability where I can sit and look at you and know what's going on and where you're stuck. And I love that so much. And I thought about how much would that cost someone? How much would you pay for that? And I never have come up with something that I knew would be reasonable, because I've spent so much of my life putting all of this together. So I know it's valuable, I know it works, but I can never have anybody do it. I would never tell anyone to come work with me because I don't give it up. See, I know that if you're angry, there's just something that you haven't figured out about yourself. If you're judging yourself in some way, if you think you did something wrong and you screwed up all these things, you just haven't figured out who you are and the value that you gain from everything that you did. I know every single person's life is perfect. Everything you've been through, everything you've experienced, all the people, all of it is perfect. And that's the information that I received in 2012 that I was meant to help others come to understand. See, because if we don't come to that place, we blow up the world. That's really what happens. If I don't do, that's how it feels to me, because I sense this so much. And this is why I planned a channeling session for this coming Saturday, because I know that we're going to move through a little bit, and then Friday might be a little uncomfortable because things are changing in our planets as well. And it affects us. We're all energy, and energy affects everything. But we also have the ability to change all of that if we decide to love ourselves. And when we decide to love ourselves, we'll love everyone else. Because what we're going to see is a lot of division. A lot of people, you see it already. It's going on not in just my country, but all over the world. Because there's a split happening, and we have to choose. And what you might want to do is choose yourself. And I thought, that doesn't make sense. I'm supposed to be successful. I'm supposed to be happy. And then I understood it, because yes, that's the thing that to make the biggest difference. The more people who decide to love themselves, do what they came to do, get over their fear and doubt and all of that, we start to energetically shift the world. And I was given something to do that. And I could, I tried to run away from it. I've done that so much in my life. And I go, no, I'm not going to do that. I've done so many other things. But this one thing is the thing that I was put on the earth to do. And that's what I'm giving to the world. But I wanted to talk about this because I want people, if they're going to come to me for work, you're going to become who you're meant to be, because I can always see it. And it's just time of working through it so our brain can start to change, because that's the only way we create anything. We have to change our minds, because we're physical beings, and the way that we think produces what we see in our lives and then what we see in the world. And we have to start to own that. And it's going to be a little challenging for some people, because some people don't want to change at all. The world is going to keep changing. That's what's going on. And unless we decide that we're going to get involved, we're going to still have horrible weather going on for decades. And our kids won't have anything to come home to. That's really what it is. But we're in a place that's happened throughout history. We just don't know it because we haven't lived through it. But it's a change that is happening in our civilization. And we're trying to figure out which one we're going to have. Are we going to have one that's loving and inclusive and really equal for all, and we're sharing everything? We have an equal or more equal share of wealth and income in the world, and women are seen as the same, as equal to men. All of those things, yeah, that's where we're going, because we're moving back to oneness, and this is a part of that journey. This is a part of that thing that's going on in the world. And so I just wanted you to understand, because it's going to look a little uncomfortable for a bit, because you're going to have way too many people who don't want to change, and then people who do want to change, and then are going to hate everyone who doesn't. And you can feel the conflict in that. However, if you're working on you, you're not going to care. I got to tell you, I had so much built-in anger within me from my generations, from everything that I've lived in my life and everything that my family has lived. This is a generational change. And so I had to understand, why did I have that? And I wrote things about it. I told many of you, I wrote an article back in 2016 when I knew this was happening, saying I had to let go of my stuff. I had to move through my anger, because it's there, we all have it, because we only have it because we don't know who we are. We don't know how powerful we are. And that if we could get over that, we would accept ourselves. When you're angry, it's because you're angry at yourself. You're angry that you haven't found how you could change. You're angry because you haven't figured out how you can let go of that hurt that you've been carrying around for 30 years or whatever it might have been that you had. Or you're angry because you couldn't find that right relationship. All of it's the same cause, however. You just not becoming yourself. All the work that I do is about guiding every individual to that place, because I know that is what gives them the ability to create the life that they want, because that was God-given. That's what you were born to do, and everyone has it. We can just decide that we don't and let our lives go to crap, and I almost did that for a bit because it was too challenging to go to what I knew. But once you do that, everything changes. The world that you see is different. You're not afraid of dying anymore either. That's the other thing that comes about. Just thought you might want to know that, because we've been freaked out about that. I don't have that. Don't have the fear, don't have all of that. But now what I'm going to do is work with those people who want to move to that place as well, because it's going to be my great contribution to the world, and I hope you make yours.